There's no question in your mind, according to your reporting, that the U-turn was deliberate, that this was no accident, that it wasn't some catastrophic event that somehow led the plane to turn. Someone made a decision to turn that aircraft.
Look, it's all very early, but basically what this shows is that whoever moved this plane and why it programmed it.
All right, folks, there you go. We welcome you back, and it's panel time on the Steve Malzberg Show. And joining us right now is our friend, of course, he's the Washington White House correspondent for Newsmax, John Gizzi. Hello, John.
Hello, Steve.
Okay.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, day after.
Is that how it goes? And
Right.
well, same to you. And joining us also is Ron Christie, former special assistant to President George W. Bush. He actually, we're efforting him, as they say. Who knows? Maybe George Bush called him and had a special assignment for him. But hopefully he'll join us momentarily. All right, John. So we just had the former head of security for El Al. He was also deputy director of security for Israeli Foreign Ministry, member of the Israeli Secret Service at one time. And he is convinced that it all boils down to these two fake passport holders that were on board the plane and the Iranian man who bought the tickets with cash. And he says that it might not have been the Iranian government, but the intelligence offshoots there are independent entities to a certain extent, and he believes that one of them had something to do with this, and the plane is on the ground somewhere.
Given the credentials of the gentleman you just cited, particularly in the intelligence area, Steve, I'm not going to argue with him. Then again, I'm not going to argue with anyone at this point because we really know no more in terms of solid evidence of what happened to MH370 than we did when you first brought this subject up. I've heard all kinds of speculation. About what makes sense to me the most are the guesses that the pilot and co-pilot might have been behind this because, again, in the age of metal detectors and sky marshals, the whole idea of someone from the passenger side of the plane taking over would seem to be out of the question. That the people in the cockpit who know what they're doing took it over, more logical. Yeah,
of course, it could have been a collaboration. He also speculated that some other people on the plane would have been in cahoots with these two fake passport guys. But regardless, let me ask you. I mean, some networks like CNN are doing this wall-to-wall-to-wall coverage, and the ratings justify it, so they're keeping it up. But there's going to come a time where the search is going to be called off. Certainly already one of our ships have been called back for logistical reasons. And, if they don't find it, I don't know, but it's going to fade away.
Well, yes. And again, art imitates life. There was an episode of the Twilight Zone TV series in 1961 known as The Arrival that forecast exactly what you said. But that being said, remember there's one difference here, Steve, and that is that you have 270 families and relatives, employers, and people who will never give up in an effort to find this plane or somehow get a clue from someone. Let me put it another way. A 777 is a pretty hard thing to hide.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. All right, let's change topics here for a second. There's a story, and it's so ironic that it's out of Las Vegas, in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And it's about a man named Larry Beisch, and they say the hospital bills are piling up in his mailbox, and that would be okay if he had health insurance, but he doesn't. However, he should be covered because he's 62 years old. He bought a plan that through the state's Nevada Health Link Insurance Exchange in the fall. He's been paying monthly premiums, and he had severe health problems. Assumed he was covered. He now has $407,000 in bills. No carrier has claimed him, yet he's been sending in the premiums, and I'm waiting for Harry Reid to call this man a liar.
Well, I am also saying that this is someone who we should all have in our prayers, and I wish Larry the very best in coming out of this. And what he's going through is tragic. That said, I must say the story of Larry from Las Vegas vindicates this reporter from the National Governors Association. Nevada's Governor Brian Sandoval said that the applications were way below what was expected, so much so that the exchange, which is federally run, Governor Sandoval not joining the exchange, has had to lower its targets for March 31st on at least 2 occasions and request the resignation of John Hager, the head of the exchange. This is the legacy of all of that.
It's just it's awful, and you're right. We should keep him in our prayers. It's horrific. He's got, the bottom line is he's been sending those premiums to somebody. So if the checks have been cashed, somebody's got to be covering him. But to put this man through this, to put any person who's ill through this, or to give the false impression to anybody, ill or otherwise, that they're covered, and then something happens and they're not. It just speaks to one of the many flaws in this whole thing.
And again, we should never take comfort in the tragedy of other individuals.
No, absolutely not.
Particularly when their life is not. But I will say this. The Democrats who voted for this are going to find themselves increasingly playing defense as we get into the fall campaign. I spoke this morning at a press breakfast to Republican National Chairman Reince Priebus. He's more confident than ever about Republicans winning for the Senate and gaining seats in the House. Why? Because of Obamacare and how it's poisoned the atmosphere. If indeed the political calculus works out, I think it can be said about Obamacare that for those who supported it, it'll be the longest suicide note in history.
No, you're absolutely right. That's true. All right, now let's switch gears. And yesterday Jay Carney was asked by Jonathan Karl of ABC News about this Russian TV report where the anchor basically said that Russia is the only country that could blow the United States to smithereens. And in the back of him on the graphic was a nuclear cloud, a mushroom cloud. And this can't take place, one would think, without the sanctioning of the Russian government, one branch of it or another. And Carney said, people say all kinds of crazy things on TV. But I just find this hard to overlook. I mean, they've already mocked Obama on Twitter after he laid down those sanctions yesterday. Then for the TV, the Russian TV, to make some kind of statement like this, boy, we're really losing any respect that we have had in the world.
All I can comment on is, because I did not see the broadcast, but I'm certainly aware of Jay Carney's exchange, and all of us in the White House press corps refer to RT, Russian TV, as Putin TV.
Right.
That speaks volumes.
RT equal PT. It sounds like an algebra class.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So for the White House to brush this off and not to react. I mean, yesterday you heard Kerry apologizing to Putin, basically saying nothing personal. What do you mean nothing personal? Putin's the one who's doing everything that you're railing against. How can it not be personal?
I was in touch with two of my colleagues, Jamie Kamerasamy of the BBC and my friend Vlasta from Slovenian television, who are right in Crimea now, and they're Russian speakers, and they point out that the people increasingly fear the increased Russian military presence will be stretched into eastern Ukraine sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that is frightening. All right, listen, John Gizzi, as always, thank you, sir. We'll speak to you later.
Look forward to it. Thank you,
John
Stephen.
Gizzi.
Let's keep Larry in our prayers, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry and everybody like him, Larry in Las Vegas and everybody like him who has suffered the consequences of this flawed Obamacare law and is suffering. People, real sick people, who are having to force change hospitals, change doctors, change oncologists if they have cancer. Kids can't get into the hospital they've been in for special treatment. It's just, it's horrific, and we should keep them in our prayers. When we come back, the hysteria over global warming in the wake of the coldest winter I could ever remember. We'll talk about it with the author of a great new book on that subject right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.
The Steve Malzberg Show.